everybody, and welcome back to another video. So we are going to be making kind of a comprehensive, I guess, solo guide for Star Wars: The Old Republic. I know a lot of people are probably like, what are you doing making a comprehensive solo guide? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what you can do for soloing, what are a ton of the solo content that's available, and what would be ultimately your best class for soloing. And I'm just going to preface this video with talking about one specific thing, as well as I am streaming this live while I'm making this video, so I'm currently live on Twitch. But anyway, we are going to be talking about soloing. So when it comes to being an MMO player, I have pretty much 9 times out of 10 been a solo player. The only exception to that rule is for the brief period of time that I played Rift, but I didn't know anything about MMOs at that point, so I can't really say anything when it comes to Rift. As well as in playing Ashes of Creation, because being a solo player in Ashes of Creation would be very difficult. I might still give it a shot on stream, but we can figure that out once we get through, possibly later on. Anyways, so just letting you guys know, I am going to be talking about a bunch of different things when it comes to soloing in SWTOR. I'm going to talk about character builds, classes, different things like that, as well as just like what kind of things you really can be doing as a solo player. So we are going to be starting off with, I'm just going to go into the character creator so that way I can talk about all the different classes and different things like that. I'm not going to go too much in depth on this main thing because I don't want to spend a ton of time. Like, there's a lot to talk about in this game when it comes to soloing, and it's honestly, in terms of if you're wanting to do solo content, it is really, really simple to do. It's really simple to get into solo content in this MMO. So the first thing that I am going to be talking about comes to allegiances don't matter. Okay, when you're looking at clearing content, there's going to be various content based. I always recommend having a little bit of both. So I use Sith Empire just because that's always been my favorite faction, but you don't really need to talk. It doesn't matter too much with what you pick. So when you are creating your character, your origin story is purely just on the type of content you want to do. Are you wanting what content are you looking at pushing? Are you wanting to do the warrior style origin story? You're wanting to do the Inquisitor story, bounty hunter, Imperial agent? And really, when it comes to anything character creation wise, I'm just going to tell you this. If you are looking to solo content, your class and combat style do not matter. All it matters is what type of fighting are you wanting to do. So if you are choosing a lightsaber-based class, if you are wanting to be a more stealth-based, you'll pick the Assassin or the Shadow. If you're wanting to be a more long-range caster-type class, Sorcerer/Sage is the option there. If you are wanting to be up close and personal using heavy armor and only using a solo lightsaber style, then the Juggernaut or the Guardian is a best option. But if you're wanting to wield 2 lightsabers and go and getting up close and personal, doing a ton of damage, then you can do the Sith Marauder. If you are using a gunfighter, they're the same classes either way. Again, all kind of preferencing on what style you're wanting. If you're wanting to be a big missile blaster, you can use Mercenary. If you're wanting to do, your gunslinger, I would always recommend look over the different types of combat styles, go kind of in depth, looking at each of these, seeing what you want to do. Long range, you can be a sniper. Operative is another stealth-based class. Scoundrel is a stealth-based class. It all kind of depends on what style you're looking for play. I will tell you this. I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to say it again. Every single class can do solo content. It does not matter if you are doing things. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Anything can be solo. Okay? Solo content is very, very, very easy to do in SWTOR. And what I mean by easy is I mean you're not class limited. There are some classes where soloing is difficult in other MMOs. In Star Wars: The Old Republic, that is not the case. It's why I have my video talking about. It's why I have my video talking about Star Wars: The Old Republic being a really good MMO for people who have never played an MMO before. There's a ton of variety. There's a ton of options in what you can do. There's a ton of things that you can do for solo content, so I highly recommend checking it out. Now, we're going to hop into my main character here, just so that way you guys, I can talk about what actual types of things you can do for solo content. So, for anything, any content that is available for soloing is obviously the story content. You can go through all 8 origin stories solo. That's kind of one of the big beauties of Star Wars: The Old Republic as an MMO. It is very easy to jump in and to do that content solo if you are wow, my brain just shut off there. Solo content, you can do any and all solo content with you can do any of the origin stories solo. That's if you think you have to do them partied up, you really don't worry about that. It's okay. You can just get through that. You can get through all of them solo. You don't even have to do too many side missions. So that's another thing that is really, really nice about the solo content. There is a mission terminal I want to look for, and I don't remember exactly where it is. But so when also looking at other solo content, there's quite a bit. So in terms of solo content, let's say you've hit level 80 or you're not wanting to work on your solo content for you're not wanting to work on your story content. There is a big solo tab here. This gives you an entire list of options for solo content. You can do any of the heroic missions. These are special missions that reset every single day. You can go and you can complete them every single day. They're pretty simple to do. They will take you across all different areas of the galaxy. So they're nice and simple. They're fun. They're really good to do. There are these daily area quests, which are some daily quests that are very area specific. Black Hole, Section X, on Belsavis, CZ198, Oricon, Macab, Ziost, Yavin 4, Iocath, Rishi. You can complete all of this content solo. It's really easy to get into it solo, and it is something that is available there. That's one area that you can jump into and do a ton of content solo. There's hours upon hours of content here. Another thing that you can do solo is flashpoints. These are essentially like your dungeons. You can jump into flashpoints, which if you're looking for more story-based content, all of these flashpoints do follow a cohesive storyline. So that is one thing that you can do here. Now, all of these, for them, flashpoints, they will have their own difficulties. So one of the things that some people will try and do is I've never tried to run any veteran flashpoints solo. I don't know how easy / hard that would be. Maybe that's something we'll try another day on stream. But you can run them all. They have a story mode feature. You get a combat support droid, and you can run them as many times as you want. So that is an option that is available there for solo content. Another thing, if you wanted to, is you can run all of the Knights of the Fallen Empire. You can run those and Knights of the Eternal Throne. You can run them as many times as you want on the solo difficulty. I would recommend, honestly, if you want to. I again haven't tried running them veteran, as you can see. I might do that at some point, but I will not say anything at any point there. Um, I don't really want to go too much on that because I don't want to spend again. You can run all of these. These alone took me a good chunk of time. So let's say you haven't been playing Star Wars: The Old Republic, or you've never played it before, and you're wondering about the solo content. You found this here, and you're wondering what makes this game so soloable. So every single character, they will be given what is called a companion. So you will get to make this entire crew of people that you can recruit, and you can spec them however you want. So for solo content, I've always just put them at heals. So that's just made it easier because then you're constantly getting heals. Even if you're clearing more difficult content, you do have your companions as heals. Another important thing to know about your companions is they all have this influence level. The higher their influence, the better they are as crew members and companions. So, I have Kem Val here. He is my highest ranked companion. I don't have him available because I haven't found him, but that's a whole thing. That's a whole other thing that I won't worry about at this moment. But with that, so they are... You can find each of your companions to come back, and since they're higher level, they become more effective, they become better. So if you're looking at trying to clear more difficult content, I would highly recommend leveling up your companions. That's a big area to work with. Their gear does not matter. So the gear for your companions is purely cosmetic. It doesn't matter what you put on your companions. They will forever be cosmetic only, which is fine because the focus on them is not trying to spend a ton of money, whether it's in-game or out of game, to try and get them at getting them good gear to make them useful, but rather you want to just get their influence rating up, and as long as their influence rating is up, then you can continue to give them more gear, or you can continue to use them however you want and make them more useful. So that's a big thing for soloing, and why soloing is so possible is these NPC companions. They are a huge factor for doing solo content in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Now, in terms of what you should actually do for your character, how you should build them, what you should do for stats and things like that, a lot of that is going to be very class specific. If you want me to do various class guides, I can. I'm not the best at doing class guides, though. I'm not a meta builder. I'm not somebody who does that, so that's not something that I would recommend. That if you're looking for individual class guides, go look for them on YouTube. They're everywhere. I also do recommend SWTORista.com is a great website. She has a ton of great content and guides for how to play various classes. I learned how to play my main class, which is the Lightning DPS Sorcerer. I learned how to play through SWTORista, so I do recommend checking out her videos. But when you are soloing content, we talked about it with companions. Companions, you always want to put them on healer. And then for the combat style, I would always say doing DPS. You can do it as a tank, or if you wanted to do it vice versa, you can put your companions at damage and you can put your combat style at tank or heal. Those are options as well. Personally, I think you will always do your best damage if you are the one doing the damage. So running a damage discipline, whether it is direct damage, or I haven't done a ton with damage over time stuff because that's personally not my favorite, combat style or discipline, so I don't usually run any dot stuff, but I do have people who absolutely praise on dot, but that's kind of its own thing. But running your direct damage is going to be, I think, your best option for trying to clear content quickly. If you are somebody that maybe doesn't want to spend a ton of time grinding out mobs, doing a ton of combat, you just want to get through your quests quickly, then I would always recommend for your combat style the assassin, your stealth-based combat style. It is very easy to get through. It is very easy to get through this content, to like clear content if you are a stealth-based class. Now, the beauty about SWTOR is if you are a subscriber, you can opt into a secondary combat style. I'm currently not subscribed because I haven't played in a while, so I canceled my subscription. I don't know if I will be coming back to it. I might just come back and run some free-to-play content stuff just for funsies on stream or something like that. I don't know. I'm not the person to worry about that at this moment in time. But anyways, stealth-based options for soloing content are going to be great. I don't know if I'll have a video. I don't think I have any videos of clearing some content as a stealth-based class. I might just film some off-stream or something and maybe edit this in later. But if you are... Actually, I do think I have a stealth-based character I can pop in. But anyways, stealth-based characters, they have an option. Yeah, none of my guys are currently stacked for... Oh, no, Ekamon is currently spec'd for stealth. So this is my current assassin that I am leveling a little bit off stream. I know that this video is probably already longer than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. So we're going to hop in. So the biggest thing here with these stealth-based companions, so if we come over... And I'm probably like a ways away from like anything. I'm just going to try and find like some enemies so I can show this off. But the reason why stealth is huge is because if you're traveling through an area that's an enclosed space, so a lot of Star Wars: The Old Republic has open areas for you to be able to move around in and do different things in. Which makes it really easy to avoid specific enemies. We can just use this guy up here as an example. So, let's say, for instance, you are in an enclosed building and you don't want to spend a ton of time going through and fighting a bunch of enemies. This is where being a stealth-based class works out great, because you can just go into stealth and I can run around these guys no problem, and they will not know that I'm here. If I were to just be standing for a little bit, they might detect me at that point. But for the most part, yeah, see, like, I aggroed after I ran into him. So that's just, like, the only thing really to note there about that stealth class, about the stealth classes. Otherwise, you can stealth around however much you want. There is a bit of a caveat because you might lose out on some bonus mission EXP for defeating enemies, but it's not so much that it's really going to hinder you in any way. That's just a way that I would recommend quickly clearing content. It's something that if I start doing more, I want to do at some point a full origin story speedrun. Stealth will be the way that I will be going about that. So that's really kind of the big thing to note if you're looking at soloing content. If you're wanting to be a solo player in Star Wars: The Old Republic, this is, if you're looking at getting into solo content, this is a really easy MMO to do it. It has a ton of options. There's a ton of stuff you can do, like running flashpoints, different things like that make it easier to run solo content. So I highly recommend picking it up if you're getting into it. And also, it's fun. It's fun to clear content in Star Wars: The Old Republic. So I would recommend doing that and seeing kind of where that will lead you. But yeah, that's kind of the big thing there. If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'm going to be streaming a lot more MMOs. I think MMOs are just the way that I'm going to be looking for content from here on out. I love MMOs. They're super fun, and I want to continue to pour out more MMO content. It's going to probably mostly be Ashes of Creation / Lord of the Rings Online. I do have a couple other challenges and stuff that I want to start back up for Lord of the Rings Online, so we'll see kind of how that goes. But right now we're going to be covering the Ashes of Creation alpha. So anyways, with that, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time.